Talks with the Masters conducted by George Zebrowski. Copyright 2018 by George Zebrowski. Edited by Pamela Sargent. Read by Mike from Google Voice. Also by George Zebrowski. Black Pockets and Other Dark Thoughts Short Stories. Brute Orbits. Cave of Stars. Empties. In the Distance and Ahead in Time Short Stories. The Killing Star with Charles Pellegrino. Macro Life. The Monodic Universe Short Stories. Stranger Sons. Swift Thoughts Short Stories. The Omega Point Trilogy. Ashes and Stars. The Omega Point. Mirror of Minds. Star Trek Novels. A Fury Scorned with Pamela Sargent. Heart of the Sun with Pamela Sargent. Dyson Sphere with Charles Pellegrino. Across the Universe with Pamela Sargent. Garth of Iser with Pamela Sargent. The SUNSPACER Trilogy. Sunspacer. The Stars Will Speak. Behind the Stars. Introduction by Pamela Sargent. George Zebrowski and I were college freshmen when we met, still in our teens, but George already knew that he was going to be a writer. Specifically, he wanted to be a science fiction writer. I was an aspiring writer myself, but had only a vague idea of how to go about becoming one. George, however, had actually met some of the writers he so admired, including such luminaries as Arthur C. Clarke and Isaac Asimov, whose example and encouragement inspired him to achieve his ambition. Much later, after more than 3 decades of being a professional science fiction writer himself, George interviewed 4 of the authors whose work and whose example had inspired him. Or, as George puts it, I encountered the gods of my youth as a colleague. This book is the result of those encounters. Isaac Asimov was born on January 2, 1920, in Petrovichy, Russia. He immigrated with his family to the United States as a toddler, grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and became a biochemistry professor at the Boston University School of Medicine while pursuing writing. A prolific writer who published nearly 500 books, he was the author of the science fiction classics I, Robot, the Foundation Trilogy, The Caves of Steel, The Naked Sun, and the Nebula and Hugo Award-winning The Gods Themselves. He also published nonfiction on a wide variety of subjects, among them astronomy, biology, math, religion, and literary biography. George claims that it was Isaac's The Intelligent Man's Guide to Science, later revised as Asimov's Guide to Science, that helped get him through the dreaded New York State Regents science exams in high school. Asimov died in New York City on April 6, 1992. Like Asimov, George was also an immigrant to the U.S., arriving with his parents.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?